Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President-elect Bola Tinubu meets National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, and other party chieftains at the Defense House in Abuja ahead of the May the 29th inauguration. Federal government says it will prioritize women and children as it procures 40 buses at $1.2 million toward the evacuation of Nigerians from Sudan. Women inventors, creators, and entrepreneurs take the stage at this year's Intellectual Property Summit, which celebrates the can-do attitude of women.
On business news tonight, World Bank says global food prices remain very high amid growing number of food trade restrictions placed by various countries around the world.
And on sports news tonight, Manchester City beat league leaders Arsenal 4-1 with Kevin De Bruyne scoring a brace at the showdown at Etihad.
And from Abuja, Benue State Emergency Management Agency called for the postponement of 2023 housing population census following the displacement of residents in 18 local government areas.
And in international news from London, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says he has had a long and meaningful phone call with China's Xi Jinping, their first contact since Russia's war began.
Well, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, says he has been able to run for the office of the president of Nigeria since 1993 without any controversy because he is free from drugs and identity scandals, unlike the president-elect Senator Bola Tinubu. Reacting to Mr. Tinubu and the APC's reply to his petition challenging the process and the outcome of the February 25th presidential election, which is described as a serial election loser, which described him as a serial election loser, while the former vice president explains that Mr. Tinubu is a giant in forfeiture and drug-related offenses. He also claims Mr. Tinubu fails to disclose his dual nationality to the electoral umpire INEC. Mr. Atiku insists that Mr. Tinubu is constitutionally disabled from contesting for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, having been indicted for drug-related offenses in the United States of America, as well as making a forfeiture of $460,000 as a compromise agreement. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is accusing the electoral umpire, that's the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of partiality, stating that it ought to maintain neutrality in electoral proceedings between candidates. He noted that both the in a reply he filed before the Presidential Election Petition Court in Abuja, Mr. Peter Obi faulted the electoral body for filing a preliminary objection in support of the President-elect Bola Tinubu. He noted that both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal had in the past cautioned INEC not to place itself in a place of neutrality, but to remain fair and focused. Well, the Labour Party's presidential candidate also states that it is not only an embarrassment, but a repudiation of the duty of INEC when it adorns the garb of a contestant in an election it conducted as an umpire to raise preliminary objection against an election petition. He adds that he expected the electoral body to maintain a neutral stand in all litigations where participants in elections are challenging the outcome of the elections and not indulge in filing objections to the petition. Well, in another legal matter, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed the suit filed by the Adamawa governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Aisha Binani, seeking to be affirmed as the winner of the election. Justice Ekwo dismissed the suit following a notice of discontinuance that was filed by the plaintiff. Justice Ekwo had declined her application to strike out the suit, maintaining that the appropriate order was dismissal since the court earlier directed the plaintiff to address it on the issue of jurisdiction. Senator Binani had approached the court with an ex parte application to stop INEC from announcing any other person as the winner of the Adamawa State governorship election. She argued that the electoral umpire had no powers to cancel or even declare a declaration which had been made as null and void. The community of people living with disabilities is asking the President-elect, Senator Bola Tinubu, to appoint at least one person with disability into his cabinet after he is sworn into office come May the 29th this year. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the founder of TAF Africa, Mr. Jake Ekpele, also appealed to state governors not to discriminate against people living with disabilities by appointing qualified individuals with disabilities in their cabinet. According to him, the outcome of this year's general elections has provided the country another opportunity to deepen disability inclusion in governance.
With the end of 2023 general election and the emergence of elected individuals, an opportunity to drive disability inclusion and strengthen the political voices of persons with disability in Nigeria political process has been birthed. These elected individuals have a duty to entrench disability inclusion in their governance by making their political appointment disability inclusive. And I want to use this opportunity to call on the incoming government to ensure that at least one person with disability is appointed as the minister in the federal cabinet. And we want to also use this opportunity to call on governors to ensure the appointment of persons with disability as commissioners. We also want to encourage all elected individuals to prioritize the appointment of persons with disability who contested for position during the 2023 general election but could not make it at the polls. We wish to emphasize that political appointment of persons with disability should not be based just on their disability status, but on their capacity and competence to drive positive change in the political office, irrespective of their disability status.
Indeed, the May 29 inauguration isn't far away from now, and the President-elect, Senator Bola Tinubu, has already met with the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, at the Defense House in Abuja. In attendance at the meeting, which was held behind closed doors, were the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ovie Omoagege, of the APC National Publicity Secretary, Senator Iyola Omishore, and former Secretary of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. James Faleke. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and a former Governor of Abia State, Senator Orji Uzor-Kalu, also met with the President-elect behind closed doors at his private residence.
A calm outlook of the Defense House just before the doors opened to reveal the people that were in the House for a closed-door meeting with the President-elect. Among them are the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Ovie Omoagege, APC National Publicity Secretary, Senator Iyola Omishore, and former Secretary of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. James Faleke. The APC National Chairman, in an obvious reluctance to disclose issues discussed at the meeting, says Nigeria is moving forward.
Well, we're still celebrating our victory. Okay. The last election. You can see our president is here. The vice president-elect is here. I am here. The National Assembly is here. So Nigeria is moving forward.
From there to the private residence of the President-elect in Abuja, which continues to receive high-profile visitors. Among the callers today is the Governor of Lagos State. After meeting with the President-elect, he enjoins Nigerians to be patient.
We should exercise a bit of patience, and when that cut-off date comes in. Positive, patience to say that we are, going to be supporting this man. We believe, in all of the promises that he has given to us. Let us just all wait and see how it turns out, all of his great promises that he's given to the country. So we're pretty excited.
A former governor of Abia State, who also visited, declares that he's the best candidate for the office of a Senate president.
Among those people running, I'm the best, and I will deliver. I'm the most trusted. I will never betray anybody. I'm not part of betrayal, and I'm not acting film.
Issues of security and the unity of Nigeria are also on the mind of the former governor.
Well, to be honest, the Nigerian people, we have a lot of work to be done. We will look at security, we'll look at the economy, we'll look at to bring back people. And we need to bring back Nigerians to believe in our party. There's a lot of disagreement among Nigerians and APC.
As the race for principal offices of the National Assembly continues, the coming days will most likely witness more visits by aspirants coming to share their vision and possibly get the buy-in of the president-elect.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jeffrey Onyama, has disclosed that procuring 40 buses toward the evacuation of Nigerians has cost the government $1.2 million. Speaking to the press after the Federal Executive Council meeting, Mr. Onyama stated that the government will evacuate citizens within days in spite of the 72-hour ceasefire agreement in Sudan because it has concluded talks with the Sudanese government and they are on the same page. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Umizoke, reports.
Hours after returning from a short official trip to Ghana, President Muhammadu Buhari chairs the Federal Executive Council meeting. Moments after the commencement of the meeting, the evacuation plans of the federal government in Sudan came into focus as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and his deputy gave update, affirming that no life has been lost.
We've started the process, and it'll take, maybe a couple of days to, evacuate everybody. 1.2 million is what we're being charged for the buses to the board. $1 million. Yeah, for the entire 40 huge transporter luxury buses made available to us to transport to the Egyptian border. Of course, because of the risks involved and so many other things, a lot of people are going to also take advantage. They're going to hike up the price. We saw that the French convoy was attacked and so forth. So it was difficult procuring these buses, but we had to do it because, Nigerian lives matter.
The good news is that no Nigerian life has been lost so far. I think it's important to stress that all Nigerians are very safe.
The ministry adds that evacuation would continue even beyond the 72-hour ceasefire, making no mention of alternative plans for continued education for the evacuees, particularly students of Khartoum.
We have friendly nations that are ready to assist, so that we have it on record that the Saudi authorities have been able to, pick up some Nigerians and they're shipping them, transporting them by ship, I guess, to Saudi Arabia, to Jeddah in particular, from where, of course, again, we'll link up and find a way of bringing them back from Jeddah.
Chairman of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, had earlier posted a video indicating that Nigerian citizens in their thousands are being conveyed with the buses according to their state of origin, even as the ministry considers prioritizing women and children.
It would be appropriate that women should be given priority. Women and children should be given priority. I think that goes without saying.
As we speak, the evacuation of Nigerians have commenced and is fully underway. But what is unclear is the exact number of persons that have left the war-torn country or the exact number of days it would take to complete the process of evacuation. But what remains clear is the resilience of the federal government to evacuate all Nigerians who are willing to leave Sudan to safety. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umizoke, Channels Television News.
In part two after the break, women inventors, creators and entrepreneurs take the stage at this year's Intellectual Property Summit, which celebrates the can-do attitude of women. That's in a moment. Join us again.
You like it?
I love it.
So let's get down to business.
You mean transfer to? What is this? That's a personal account. That is still me. I mean, I want to transfer all these millions into your personal account. I mean, I supply the movers and shakers of society. I do things properly. If you do not have a bank account in your business name, I cannot trust you. Better go visit moneypoint.com. Open a business account in your business name. Then me and you go fit talk.
Which one be these money points, sir?
Whatever it takes to make sure you have a business account opened in your business name, we'll do it as your sure banker.
But why didn't Morifa tell me about Money Point earlier? Where's Morifa?
Open a bank account in your business name with Money Point.
You dey scatter body, but your face no dey show. I hear Luna Vella, Ekuisha. Anywhere you enter, I know what you. Your one no dey invisible. Ekuisha, eba mi ki Ọmọlúwàbí, nothing go for your hand. It's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Your turn.
Keep trending with the Glow Social Data Bundles. Dial *777# or buy via Glow Cafe.
Looking fresh for your date? Get even fresher with Close Up. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula. It cleans deeply, fights 99% of bacteria, and cools intensely, keeping you protected and fresh.
Let's take a picture.
Still fresh, still protected.
Feeling cool and protected.
All day confidence to get close.
Oh, yeah, take me close.
New Close Up Triple Fresh formula.
For an exclusive 3-time skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by Black Carbon. For 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance. Make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion. Try Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 48-hour antibacterial sweat protection.
Let's go. Move it, move, pop up the music. Move it, move, switch up the rhythm. Move it, move, turn up the flavor. Move it, move, everything on 100. Move it, move, pop up the music. Move it, move, switch up the rhythm. Move it, move, turn up the flavor. Vibes on vibes, everything on 100.
Turn up the flavor with Smirnoff Ice Double Black with Guarana. Enjoy ice cold.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live from Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. President-elect Bola Tinubu meets National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, and other party chieftains at the Defense House in Abuja ahead of the May 29 inauguration. Federal government says it will prioritize women and children as it procures 40 buses at $1.2 million toward the evacuation of Nigerians from Sudan. Women inventors, creators, and entrepreneurs take the stage at this year's Intellectual Property Summit, which celebrates the can-do attitude of women. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky holds what he describes as a long and meaningful phone call with China's President Xi Jinping, the first contact since Russia's war began. Let's now switch to the nation's capital, and Victor Mathias is standing by to give us the very latest at our Abuja studios. Great to have you again, Victor. Over to you.
Of course, good to see you always, Ayotunde. Welcome to the nation's capital. Now, the Benue State Emergency Management Agency is urging the National Population Commission to postpone the 2023 housing population census because of the displacement of residents of 18 out of the 23 local government areas of the state by bandit attacks. The executive secretary of the agency, Mr. Emmanuel Shaw, made the call during the monthly distribution of food and non-food items to the more than 2 million internally displaced persons across the state.
For over 5 years, farmers in rural communities from Logo, Guma, Makodi through Gwe West to Agatu have been displaced and are now living in IDP camps. The renewed attacks a fortnight ago, which left over 130 people dead, has only added to the humanitarian crisis as more people have now fled to the IDP camps. To this end, the Benue State government's burden to provide supplies every month has increased tremendously.
3,500 precisely of rice that we have received. We are still expecting some bags of rice to add. Close to, I think, about 800 bags of beans in 100 kg, if I'm correct. About 1,800 bags of gari that are being supplied. About 600 bags of salt. About 10,000 tubers of yams that are also being supplied. Some of them are loaded in the trucks already. So that is what we have been mobilized this month for the IDPs.
Mr. Shio Wanda is concerned about how the IDPs would be counted in the 2023 census.
I also suggest and appeal to federal government to suspend that exercise because I suspect that if the exercise, national population census exercise goes on, for me, it's a ploy to leave over 2 million displaced persons, over 2 million people who are in the camps uncounted.
Local reports from part of Apa local government area indicates that the Paha community was attacked on Monday by suspected herdsmen who have been attacking communities in the general area.
The security matters. Troops of the Joint Task Force Operation Hadering Daji have neutralized no fewer than 5 armed bandits in an encounter in Zamfara State. It was gathered that the troops, while on regular routine patrol at Damri district of Bakra local government area of Zamfara, received intelligence on bandits' movement with large numbers of rustled cattle. The troops swiftly mobilized to the area and engaged the bandits in a heavy gun battle, neutralizing 3 of the armed bandits while others fled, abandoning the rustled animals. The items recovered during the encounter include 1 AK-47 rifle, 5 motorcycles, large herd of cattle, camel and sheep, among other items. Similarly, troops who were on routine patrol along Magami community responded to a distress call on the kidnap of 6 persons by bandits at Magami community. Some of the kidnapped victims were said to have been rescued, while 2 of the bandits were neutralized and 6 automatic grenade launcher bombs and other weapons were recovered. The Nigeria Air Force War College Course 9 says it will partner with the Edo State government on internal security to safeguard mining operations. The commandant of the college, Air Vice Marshal Abraham Adole, stated this during a courtesy visit to the government house in Benin City, the Edo State capital. He says the partnership is expected to come to fruition by the year 2020. 28. In his remarks, Edo State Governor Mr. Godwin Obaseki said he is always ready to contribute to protecting the nation's assets, particularly at a time when Nigeria is focusing on mineral resources other than crude oil.
As Nigeria begins to shift its attention towards solid mineral exploitation, it is important to examine the relevance of this theory in that space. Edo State, being an oil-producing state that has also ventured into solid mineral exploitation, presents an excellent case study for us. The state has established structures, institutions, policies, programs, and expertise to drive this process. This revalidates our choice of Edo State for the study visit, as it is well placed to adequately address the study theme, which is internal security and mineral exploitation in Edo State by 2028, strategic options.
Mining is no longer an exclusive reserve of the federal government, even though it's still in the exclusive list. But we've seen the various agencies of the federal government reaching out to now allow more local participation in mining by working with the state governments and the local governments and communities to set up corporations or companies that can organize themselves to raise the required capital and the resources to undertake, those mining activities. So we'll be very glad to have your own insights, and also to deal with a major issue that usually comes out of the extractive business, which is the security considerations. Yeah, mining areas are usually very volatile security-wise, and so what do we do as a state?
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to Ayotunde in Lagos with the wrap of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Victor. Women inventors, creators and entrepreneurs in Nigeria were today celebrated at the Intellectual Property and Women Business Summit held in Abuja for their can-do attitude in the face of challenges that abound around them. The summit, which is organized by the World Intellectual Property Organization, is an annual event held every April the 26th to create awareness on intellectual property. The theme for the 2023 celebration is Women as Catalysts of Innovation and Creativity, Opportunities and Challenges.
Women who are making their mark in various fields of endeavor converge on this hall to celebrate the World Intellectual Property Day. This year's theme focuses on the opportunities that abound as they bring their potentials to bear. Women make up almost half of the global population, and Nigeria is in the list of countries with a large population of women. It becomes even more imperative to support, protect, and provide opportunities that help them succeed.
What more can be done as a country, as a society, to achieve greater parity for women in the area of intellectual property? What strategies, what policies, what regulations can assist in achieving this goal? And so we'll again hear from seasoned experts who will be able to share insights on what more we can do to support the woman child in Nigeria.
So part of transformation, I think, is looking again to the business sector to be an engine for development, to help the 130 plus million people get away from poverty and live a more dignified life. And to say again, I think the role of women is particularly important because they are already a very strong force.
Challenges confronting businesses in Nigeria abound. However, the impact of these challenges is more obvious on businesses owned by women. These include funding and lack of infrastructure, and it appears this is not lost on the government.
The Nigerian government, through the PEBEC systemic intervention, has since 2016 delivered over 180 verifiable reforms targeted at enabling the business environment for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, many of which are female-owned businesses.
The conversation then breaks into panel sessions, with the first one focusing on accelerating female innovative and creative enterprises.
Now we've expanded into 4 manufacturing sites. The most recent sits on 60 hectares in Ogun State. And we are beginning to manufacture things that have never been manufactured, in Nigeria. So baby steps, leaps, fall down, cry, get up, continue. But that's the Amazon story in a nutshell.
We need to embrace that as women and say that, listen, just by the little that I can do, I'm changing 10, 15 lives, just looking at the value chain directly and indirectly. So that's why for me, creativity and innovation is very important. And IP is so, so, so important when it comes to the way we do things, because you're able to now have a lifetime of ownership that can continue to bring you money, bring you resources, bring you value.
The second panel session takes a look at the regulatory and policy support for female entrepreneurs.
We in Channels, we have a program that we have so many programs actually, cutting-edge programs that we use to enhance and to showcase, to serve as a platform for young women who are excelling or who have a calling in these areas. And we have also created a gender desk. And what this means is that this gender desk has a gender lens. And we use this lens to appraise all of the assignments we cover.
Gender-responsive considerations demand that you have to think about how to close the gap in making policies. So I have to go back to the policy landscape. We need to think, first of all, about participatory ways of having conversations about where are the gaps. So in the formal sector, how do we close the funding gap? In the informal sector, what is going to work for women in the formal sector? What will work for women in the informal sector?
The event was not all about speeches. Awards were also presented to 5 women. Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, essay to the President on the ease of doing business. Ms. Uzoma Izoke of Emzo Pharmaceuticals. Ms. Aisha Algi Kuta, essay to the Minister of Finance. Ms. Stella Ezenduka of the Patent and Designs Registry. And Dr. Olushola Momo, Vice Chairman, Channels Media Group, for their contributions to their fields of endeavor, just to pave the way for the launch of the We Win IP logo. The actual launch then takes place.
We Win IP.
This initiative targets a future where women support each other in order to contribute effectively to the nation's development.
Still ahead on the news at 10. World Bank says global food prices remain high amid growing number of food trade restrictions placed by various countries. That's business news in a moment. Please stay with us.
Is Nigeria's biggest and most preferred agent banking network. Thanks to First Money, millions of people are living their dreams. Meet some First Money agents who are driving this.
One Kechi Kiriki from First Bank introduced me to First Money. I forgot searching for jobs.
Ya taimaki mutane sosai wurin matsowa kusa da yanayin banki. Da sai sun tafiya mai nisa kamin su je su samu banki.
Through First Money, over 1 million people across Nigeria have their financial services needs met daily. In all the accessible local government areas, you are bound to find First Money agents. With First Money, we're bringing financial inclusion and the many benefits that come with it. You first. First Bank.
OVMA.
Oh, I wish you were here.
I'm always with you.
But it's not the same without you.
MTN 5G's amazing technology will change how we experience life and the internet. Get ready to encounter the incredible. And remember, no be juju, na MTN 5G.
Welcome back. 143 entries have been received for the 2023 edition of the Nigeria Prize for Literature against 89 entries in the last drama cycle in 2018. The increase is seen as a remarkable feat by the sponsors of the literary competition, the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, NLNG. This was revealed at a ceremony in Lagos to hand over the entries to judges for the commencement of the adjudication process that would produce a winner for the top prize of $100,000. Before an audience of representatives from various media organizations, NLNG sets in motion the commencement of the adjudication process of the Nigeria Prize for Literature by handing over drama entries to the chairperson of the Prizes Advisory Board, who in turn hands over to the judges. The judges also received 13 entries for the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism. The Nigeria Prize for Literature is Africa's most prestigious literary award, and NLNG believes that the increase in entries for drama cycle highlights the growing interest in Nigerian literature.
For 2023, interestingly, the Nigeria Prize for Literature recorded a total of 143 entries. It is a remarkable improvement from a total of 89 recorded entries in 2018, when we had drama as a genre for the year. So it means that something is happening to either improve the quality of work or the excitement around the needs for more entries to come in. So thank you very much for the work you helped us to do in promoting, announcing, and ensuring that we get as many entries as possible. So really appreciate your effort and your support in that regard.
With this year's edition particularly competitive, the judges and advisory board have their work cut out to select a deserving winner.
NLNG is very particular about excellence. This prize has been on for 19 years, and we cannot afford to do anything that will lead us anywhere except excellence.
We are going to be having arguments, no doubt, of creative writers and critics. And that's why I'm confident that we will do a good job. And we'll do it dispassionately.
Professor of Drama and Critical Theory, Ame Ako, will be joined by Professor of Creative Arts, Catherine Osita and Rashida Liman, Doctor of Theatre and Performing Arts, as well as international consultant, Professor Victor Yanka, to examine entries and determine the winners for the 2023 Prize for Literature and the Prize for Literary Criticism. Determined to change the negative narrative for good held about its agency, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the NDDC, Mr. Samuel Obuku, and his team have held a public-private partnership conference summit. Speaking on the essence of the meeting, the NDDC boss says there's a new drive to become transparent with strong governance structure in order to attract private sector funds for the Niger Delta regional development.
Stakeholders of the Niger Delta region, captains of industry in the private sector, the traditional rulers, people from different political extractions, and others all converge on Lagos for NDDC's Public-Private Partnership Summit to explore ways of driving sustainable development in Nigeria's oil-rich region. For the Commission, there is no better place than Lagos to lay the foundation in a summit with the theme Rewind to Rebuild.
our mission being to facilitate the rapid, even, and sustainable development of the Niger Delta into a region that is economically prosperous, socially stable, ecologically regenerative, and politically peaceful. For us to carry out such a project such as PPP, we believe Lagos is the ideal place.
In his keynote address, the Executive Secretary of NCDMB, Simbi Wabote, speaks about the stringent demands of the private sector and advised NDDC.
If you have to progress, you must draw the line. How many people know here that NDDC Act is just 12 pages? You can go look at it. Just 12 pages. There is no equivocation in what is written there. But if there is no will to stand by the mandate of the Act, you will not achieve anything. You will completely derail yourself. It is therefore important that the entire management and staff of the Commission are familiar with the content of the NDDC Act.
Both the Minister for Niger Delta Affairs and the private partners here say they are ready to join hands for the economic growth of the region.
The ministry and NDDC alone cannot meet all the development needs and aspirations of the Niger Delta people. For us to effectively address the development challenges of the region, we need the support and partnership of the private sector to complement our efforts.
PPP is not, it's like customer service. It's not a departmental or unit affairs. It's a company affair. Everybody has to be involved because each department or directorate in the organization has a role to play somewhere along the line.
The PPP Summit is part of NDDC's strategy to reduce its reliance on international oil companies and the federal government subvention. To demonstrate this, on this occasion, it has signed an MOU with a US-based firm, Atlanta Global Resources, to connect the 9 states of the Niger Delta by rail.
The Lagos Marriott Hotel Ikeja says it's excited at its selection as the winner of the 2022 Hotel of the Year Award for Sub-Saharan Africa. In a statement, the hotel explains that this award was given by the parent company Marriott International at the just concluded 2023 GM's conference held in Abu Dhabi. The statement adds that the hotel achieved this milestone award in less than 2 years of operations, despite the many challenges of doing business in this climate. According to the Lagos Marriott Hotel Ikeja, it had outperformed over 90 Marriott International hotels within the sub-Saharan region in key performance indicators such as gross operating profit, guest satisfaction index, and a total sales up by over 45% versus budget. Another important factor that gave the hotel its win include achieving 39% of women in leadership positions within the hotel. Located in the heart of the GRA, Ikeja, Lagos, Marriott Hotel Ikeja says it sets a new standard as a 5-star conference hotel, showcasing inspiring and contemporary decor within the capital of Nigeria's commercial hub, and is ideally suited for both business and leisure travelers to Lagos, providing impeccable service worthy of the Marriott brand. And Waldo is already standing by to give us the very latest in the world of business.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Hello and welcome to Business News. We begin with what the World Bank is saying on inflation in food prices. It remains very high around the world despite global response to the food security crisis. Its latest food security update report follows a quote by the Food and Agriculture Organization that the benchmark index of international food commodity prices declined for the 12th consecutive month in the month of March. According to the World Bank, the global food crisis, which started after Russia launched an invasion in Ukraine in February last year, was made worse by the growing number of food trade restrictions put in place by various countries, as 23 countries implemented 29 food export bans and 10 implemented 14 export limiting measures as of March the 13th. It also adds that 84.2% of high-income countries are experiencing high food price inflation, with countries in Africa, North America, Latin America, South Asia, Europe, and Central Asia all being affected most by this. And let's head to the money currencies market, where the naira strengthened further against the dollar at the authorized money forex market today, while the official rate appreciated by 0.3% to 462 naira 13 kobo at the investors and exporters window, and that's amid low demand for the foreign currency. Analysis from the currencies market data from the FMDQ exchange shows the spread between both the authorized and unauthorized market stood at 271 naira 77 kobo, leaving a margin of 58.64% at the close of business today. Meanwhile, the currency unit weakened to 740 per dollar at the parallel section of the FX market, and that represents 3 naira, or about 0.4% appreciation when you compare it to the 737 naira it traded 2 weeks ago. And talking about the market, let's head to the exchange, where it sustained its bullish momentum today. Buying interest in TAF Africa spurred a nearly 1.0% gain at the close of trade today. The details, let's hear from Will Ibong.
Welcome to the stock market report. It's been a bullish 2 days at the NGM. Investors have kept the momentum strong, driving the all-share index back to the 52,000 level with a 0.95% uptick. Today, investors had on their radar the behemoths in the market: MTN, Airtel, Lafarge, PZ, as well as Total Energies. Activity was on fire today. We saw value like never before, hitting the 19 billion naira mark, and volume rose higher today to 6.47 billion units. There's an explanation for that. Yes, Transco accounted for about 6.12 billion in volume and over 15 billion naira in value traded today. And it's no-brainer that Transco, although it didn't make it to the top 3, featured on the top 5 of the gainers chart. We saw Academy Press there as well as Livestock Feed, while Fidelity Bank led today's underperformers. Zooming in on the sectors, we saw the banking index down 0.08%, and this was triggered largely by Tier 1 lender Access Holdings, despite its impressive dividend announcement. 2 more trading days to go, and we'll see if the bull can sustain its title. And that's the stock market report. And Will Ibong is back to you.
Well, we'll definitely see how the momentum is sustained for the rest of the week. But let's check out closing figures for other major markets around the world. Thank you for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Mwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Ayotunde.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says he has had a long and meaningful phone conversation with China's Xi Jinping, their first contact since Russia's war began. We'll hear Simon Pusey with more on this and other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says he has had a long and meaningful phone call with China's Xi Jinping, their first contact since Russia's war began. He said he believed the call, along with the appointment of an ambassador to Beijing, would give a powerful impetus to the development of our bilateral relations. China confirmed the call, adding that it always stood on the side of peace. Until now, Beijing has sought to show a neutral stance on the Russian invasion. A former Sudanese politician wanted for alleged crimes against humanity has said that he and other former officials are no longer in jail following reports of a breakout. Ahmed Haroun was among those being held in Koba prison in the capital Khartoum, who are facing charges by the International Criminal Court. A ceasefire between fighting military factions largely appears to be holding, but there are doubts about both sides' commitment to a lasting peace. The UN's special envoy to Sudan has told the Security Council there is no sign that warring parties in Sudan are ready to seriously negotiate.
I call on the parties to the conflict, on Generals Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, Emeti, and the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces to silence the guns. It is incumbent on Sudanese leaders to put the interests of their people front and center. This conflict will not and must not be resolved on the battlefield with the bodies of Sudan's people.
Marking the 37th anniversary of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the world must do everything possible to prevent Russia from using nuclear facilities to blackmail Ukraine and the rest of the world. The Ukrainian president stressed that Ukraine and the world had paid a high price to address the aftermath of the 1986 Chernobyl disaster, the fallout of which can still be felt to this day. Ukraine's ecology minister was among those who visited the plant and laid flowers to the monument to workers who died in the immediate aftermath. An explosion at the plant in what was then Soviet Ukraine sent radioactive material across Europe. About 30 plant workers and firemen died right after the explosion, and many more people died later from radiation-related illnesses. Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny has been seen for the first time in months, days after his associates voiced growing concerns over his health in jail. Attending a Moscow court hearing via a video link, the Russian opposition leader appeared to have lost weight but smiled as he interacted with supporters. After making opening remarks alluding to the time he has recently spent in solitary confinement, his video link was muted by the court. Navalny said investigators had opened what he called a terrorism case against him that could see him sentenced to an additional 30 years in jail. The camera of a journalist shot at point-blank range in Myanmar in 2007 during the so-called Saffron Revolution has been returned to his family. The image of Kenji Nagai, a veteran Japanese video journalist holding a camera moments after he was shot as others flee, is etched in Myanmar's collective memory of repression and loss. His camera, missing for 16 years, has now resurfaced, bringing some closure to his family who flew to Bangkok this week to receive it. In the video he took that day, seen now for the first time, Nagai records the moments trucks full of soldiers appear at Seoul Pagoda. Speaking to his camera, he says the army has just arrived and they are heavily armed, yet more people are still gathering in front of the pagoda. Shortly after that, his video stops. And Britain will block Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard over its concerns it would hinder competition in cloud gaming, dealing an unexpected blow to the biggest ever deal in gaming. The country's antitrust regulator said that Microsoft's commitment to offer access to Activision's multi-billion-dollar Call of Duty franchise to leading cloud gaming platforms would not effectively remedy its concerns. Microsoft said in a statement it remained fully committed to the acquisition and would appeal the decision. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
All right, let's find out what transpired in that big game between Manchester City and Arsenal at the Etihad. Kelly Ekigai standing by with sports news.
Thanks indeed, Ayo. What a thrilling encounter. Manchester City have taken control of the Premier League title race as Kevin De Bruyne scored twice in a dominant 4-1 win over leaders Arsenal to close in on the retaining their title. Now, Arsenal hold a 2-point lead at the top of the table, but City have 2 games in hand. Erling Haaland set a new record of 33 Premier League goals in 38-game season deep into stoppage time to take his tally in all competitions for the campaign to 49. Doesn't seem to stop scoring. In other results, Chelsea lost their 5th successive game since the return of Frank Lampard as Brentford won 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. And Liverpool came from a goal down to win 2-1 at West Ham, while Nottingham Forest also came from behind to beat Brighton 3-1 to climb out of the relegation zone. Meanwhile, interim Tottenham Hotspur coach Ryan Mason has demanded a reaction from his players when they face Manchester United on Thursday night after they suffered a 6-1 humiliation at Newcastle United in their last match. The defeat ended the sacking of interim boss Christian Stellini and left Spurs 6th in the standings, 6 points behind 4th place Manchester United and 1 behind Aston Villa in 5th.
Obviously, Sunday was disappointing for us, and I would hope and expect that there is a reaction from not only the players, but from everyone in this building and everyone involved in the club as well. They've had a relatively good season. They've won a trophy, which is important for any big club. So we understand it's gonna be a difficult match, but ultimately we're at home and we have full belief that we can get a positive result.
Well, Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag has also confirmed that Bruno Fernandes is carrying an ankle injury that could rule him out of the crucial encounter. The midfielder picked up the knock in the first half of Sunday's FA Cup semi-final against Brighton. With the possibility of his absence, United boss is warning his players to be ready for a wounded Spurs who will be fired up and desperate to bounce back.
It's obvious they had really bad defeat, and of course then they are mad, and that can be fuel for bounce back. But as I said, but it's about us, and opponent can never be more hungry as we, and that is how we have to prepare the game, and so make sure tomorrow we are ready to go front foot and be dominant and dictate the game.
Well, let's switch gears now to tennis, where Stanislas Wawrinka is through to the second round of the Madrid Open following a marathon win over Maxime Cressy. The 3-time major champion, who is the oldest player in the competition, is 38 years old, rallied from a set down to claim a 6-7, 6-3, 7-6 victory in 2 hours, 27 minutes. He won 48 of 54 first serve points and fired 19 aces for a date with Monte Carlo champion Andrei Rublev.
50 love. Juego set y partido Wawrinka. 2-1. 6-7, 6-3, 7-6. 6-7, 6-3, 7-6.
And that does it for us here on the Sports Desk at this time. Thanks indeed for watching. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Ayo.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And the main news again. President-elect Bola Tinubu today met with the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamo, and other party chieftains at the Defense House in Abuja as he inspected the building ahead of the May 29th inauguration. Well, the federal government said it will prioritize women and children as it has procured 40 luxury buses toward the evacuation of Nigerians in Sudan amidst the temporary ceasefire. Also today, women inventors, creators and entrepreneurs took the stage at this year's Intellectual Property Summit, which is celebrating the can-do attitude of women. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Have a good night.
It's another edition of Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Today on the program, we have a chat with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Daily Need Group, Mr. Tosin Jolayemi, to discuss the organization's progress since inception. Once again, welcome to Kaleidoscope. Let's begin with a short history about the Daily Need Group, which is one of the leading pharmaceutical